What's up, guys? This is Maxwell Media Inc. I'm your host, Maxwell, and today we are hitting you with another panel. I have some returning panelists, and I have a new panelist. So, all of you remember James from last time. Say hello.
Uh,
And then, we have a new person, Aaron.
Hello.
And I guess today, as you can see from the title, it's a Volume 7 topic. So I guess we can just go straight into Volume 7. What were your thoughts about Volume 7? Like, what did you think, like, overall?
I think overall, I really thought Volume 7 was good. There's minor parts, like really nitty bitty things that I had problems with, but as an overall season, it was like one of the best seasons from story to animation to everything. It was a setup season, so there was sometimes it was like, oh, I wish like they could get on with it, but it was setting up for the next season and the next season after that. So that's what I think.
All right, what about you, Aaron?
I feel like it was one of the better ones. I feel like the volumes have been improving since six, mid six especially. But I can't wait to sit. Like James said, it was also a set of volume, so there are things that maybe didn't seem to come to fruition on in volume 7 that will come out in volume 8.
Cool. I'm sorry. I just got a text from Casey, and he said he'll be there shortly. So,
Epic.
cool.
Epic.
But yeah, as I'm retired, just replying to him. But no, yeah, I agree. I feel like it was a really good volume. I feel like it was at the time, and this is still true for me. It's the best volume we've gotten since Volume 3, in my opinion. I feel like ever since Volume 5, I feel like each volume, obviously each volume post, the Monty era has been met with some sort of big controversy, big scandal, or whatever. But ever since Volume 5, I feel like even if you disagree, the collective of the fandom agreed that Volume 5 wasn't the best thing ever. And through that, because it's one thing where it's like, okay, Volume 6, it was split down the middle, where it was like half of the fandom loved it, half of the fandom thought it was bad. But like Volume 5, like most people just collectively together were just like, hi, this is bad. So I feel like it was kind of like a little bit of a wake up call for everybody. Not everybody, but I mean the writers, because animation was always on point. But yeah, I feel like they really got their act together with Volume 6, and even with Volume 7, they improved on that and they made it even better. So Volume 7 for me was just like another step of it getting better. I feel like Volume 8 is going to be even better. So there's that.
Yeah, it's like we had to work with a setup season so for Volume 6 and Volume 7, it was the end of like an arc for like all of RWBY. And then for like the last 3 seasons in season 4. And then now we have to work with a beginning arc. And I think they did really good at that for setting up everything. Because now we know like a whole cast of characters. We know so much about Ironwood and so much about Mantle and Atlas. So now we can play around with them more and be able to break apart from like the norm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess while we are speaking and kind of speaking generally in general terms, waiting for Casey to get here, could I get y'all to kind of expand on what your kind of favorite elements of this volume were?
My favorite elements. I
Yeah.
really like how the way they did the villains in this episode in this season was, I think, phenomenal. They made you like Ironwood specifically with all the Aesops. They made you like the Aesops. you trusted them. I mean, I always kind of thought that they were going to backstab us, but at the same time, the journey through it, like, they made you like him, they made you like Ironwood, sympathize for him, and slowly you start to see like it start to crack, like little things they would say, like, we're not friends, we're just coworkers, we don't care about each other like that, and they give like a weird vibe, and especially to Ren. It's such a little thing, but every time Ironwood and Clover walk in together, which is like, I think it's supposed to be Ironwood, he gets this little like flash of like what's going on. And I think that was such a subtle thing, and like Ren himself didn't even understand what was going on, and he could chalk it up to anything. And it's like, oh, it's gonna be Clover, it's gonna be Clover, but I think it was really supposed to be Ironwood, and I think that was a really cool thing because like now Ironwood, I never really cared for him, like, because I didn't really know a lot about him, and now Ironwood's one of my favorite characters.
Great. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I never noticed that about Ren. I always thought that they were building up something with Ren in terms of him, like, that like he would get like a see like he was sensing something before it came, and some of us thought it was like him his emotions being out of whack, and since he has an emotion based semblance that something was going on there, or maybe his semblance was evolving and he could feel other people's emotions. I don't know. But Ren was an interesting kind of arc. I don't think it's obviously I don't think it's finished because I think volume 7 and 8 are supposed to kind of be like a two parter sort of situation. But what about you, Aaron? What were your favorite kind of elements of the volume?
I like a lot of the villain stuff as well. I like how they split off kind of Cinder and Neo from like the main group of villains and gave them like their own goals they're trying to accomplish. Gave more background to Cinder as a character, which she's desperately needed. Um, and then also I liked a lot of just showing the relationship building in Volume 7, like not only between the bees, which is the obvious one, but like also between Ruby and the Aesop's, or Ruby with, or members of Team Ruby with Juniper and whatnot. Like to just little subtle things like Weiss going to the movies with John and Oscar, or the interactions between Renora and Ruby just by themselves when they went to the political rally.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And that's awesome. And I really love that character building and that character interaction. It's one of my favorite parts of the show in general. But I do want to recognize that Casey has shown up. So, hello.
Hello.
Hello everyone, sorry for the
Yeah.
wait.
No, it's fine. I was working on an assignment, and Peter like texted the group, and he was like, "Did you mean today when you said Tuesday?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, shit, fuck, I have something to do today. Let me get on the line." So I don't know. I was technically also late, but no, we were talking about our favorite before we get into specific elements. We were kind of talking about our favorite elements of Volume 7. So since you're the last to show up, now I guess it's your turn by default.
About volume 7, yeah, I think what I like a lot about volume 7, it was, well, I think my preferred thing is the work they made on Ironwood, making him a great character, one of the best character I think of Ruby, because you understand him, you understand where he's coming from, even if you don't agree with him, and I don't agree with him, you understand what he's doing. I really like also what the work they did on the animation on the city on Mantle. Yeah, the city is beautiful. Atlas 2. I also liked the little relationship between characters. Seeing John and Oscar going to the movie together. I like the bees, of course. Uh, the combat, I really liked seeing little moments between characters, mostly that. With the Aesop, when you have the montage, with everyone getting to know each other, working together. And I think Volume 7 delivered on that end.
Yeah, I totally agree. Um, so I guess in terms of specific elements, I guess we just start from the beginning when they get there, and Ironwood has his little plan of how he's gonna put the satellite into the sky and reconnect everyone. So like we're gonna get into like his his the crazy version of his plan later. But in terms of just like Volume 7, Chapter 2, what did you guys think of like the whole plan to put the satellite back up into the sky?
Uh, I'll go first. I thought the plan was pretty smart to because now we've since volume 3 we haven't had been able for everyone to communicate with each other. And if he were to get Amity up in the air, they could finally do that. And everyone can be reconnected. And, like, you know, maybe his plan to tell everyone about Salem wouldn't be good, but at least getting it up into the air and for everyone to be able to talk to each other again and like everyone be on this every country be on the same page, it would be that would be like a way that they could try to beat Salem. Probably not like, violently, but like being able to be like, oh, Salem's coming your way, guys, better watch out, because she moves so slowly.
Yeah.
It would be great. But then he was like, no.
No, he was like, no, we're gonna throw the good plan out of the window. What about you, Casey? What did you think of Ironwood's original plan?
I like it. I think what I liked is that Ironwood saw Ospin, what Ospin was doing, and it said, you know what, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to tell everyone, and we're going to work on this together.
Mm-hmm.
It has big flaws. Yeah, telling everyone about Salem is not maybe the smartest thing because you're going to have a lot of panic, a lot of grim, probably a lot of problem with Atlas showing up with the army saving everyone. But I like the idea behind it.
Cool, great. What about you, Aaron?
Honestly, what hasn't been said? Like, think think it was good to try and pull everyone together and showed like a sign that like Ironwood at that point wasn't at his breaking point. But that he'd pretty much fall into once that plan became no longer feasible.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree with everything you guys said. I think it's really smart to just kind of bring everyone together because it's really frustrating to not be able to like communicate or like get information out because especially it's especially frustrating when you're reading like the spin-off books because it's like they're like, oh my god, like I wonder what's going on with this person or that person. I wonder what happened here or there. It's like, okay, if we had global communications, you could like communicate and everyone could kind of be on the same page. Because a big part of the Before the Dawn book is they're like, okay, we know whatever is going to happen to Beacon, and it happened to Haven, it's going to come here to Shade. So, we want to be ready, we want to be prepared, we want to, be ready to face whatever comes at us. But if you had global communications, you could just be like, hi, Salem's coming, maybe prepare, get ready, So, you know, I feel like it was the smartest decision that he could have made, and I feel like if he just would have went through with that, even if it didn't work, I just feel like I feel like if he would have done his best to go through with that, I feel like the volume would have turned out a lot better. I feel like this volume is, yes, it's largely about trust and staying together and all of that, but I also think a lot of this volume is about honesty and how being honest can can either hurt you or harm you. It can kind of go either way. And with that kind of being brought up, I kind of want to talk about the first big controversy of this volume, which is Ruby's decision to lie, or rather keep the truth and not tell Ironwood and Winter and all of them about Jin and the Vision and all of that. What do you guys think of Ruby's decision to like keep the truth from Ironwood?
I mean, in the
Okay.
end, it ended up.
You
Almost.
can go like
Okay. In the end, it like ended up backfiring in a way, but at the same time, the way it backfired also showed that Ironwood shouldn't have been given the information in the first place. Because it's after he learns all that that he kind of starts going off the deep end. So it's not like Ruby was necessarily wrong because what she predicted happening did end up happening. It's just it's like a complicated issue, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Okay.
I think like people keep on calling the whole group hypocrites, and I think that's the point. Like the point is that they got mad at Ozpin for lying, and now Ruby is kind of, I wouldn't say becoming the new Ozpin, but she's realizing what it needs to take to have a group like this, and you're gonna have to make more hard decisions. I think that's gonna be a topic that keeps on coming up because I don't think she wants to lie, but she also knows that maybe she can't trust Ironwood, and I think that's gonna be a point of contention between sisters because Yang said something about it, and from what Barb said, Yang's gonna have distrust of someone, and maybe some shit's gonna happen there. That would be epic. But overall,
Oof.
I think it's a good thing because it's showing. I don't want to watch a show where good guys have to always be good and on the same page. I like it that like the team is kind of separate. Like Weiss agrees with Ruby, Yang doesn't. Yang Blake will do whatever Yang says. So, but
T.
so
Blake's more interested in
it's
the
great.
freedom fighters.
Oof.
Yeah.
I guess that's a whole other thing. What about you, Casey? What do you think of Ruby's decision to lie?
I like it. Story-wise, I like it. I don't like lying, but I think yeah, like it was just said, it makes sense in story that Ruby has to think about what Ospin was doing beforehand. In Volume 5, they get betrayed by Lionheart. He was a Headmaster too. So it makes sense when in Volume 6, Ospin tells Ruby that he trusted Lionheart in what he wasn't the first to betray him. And I think it's interesting that now Ruby has on her shoulders alone the responsibility to tell stuff, to take actions. And I think it was also the only way for Ospin to come back in the story, because the characters had to understand where Ospin was coming from before they were ready to forgive him. So I think that sense story-wise.
Yeah, I totally get all of that. I don't know. I get both sides of it. On one hand, I get that, like, that they just came off of a volume where it was about exposing the truth and how, you're supposed to trust each other and you're supposed to be better than that. You're supposed to be better than Osmond. But on the other hand, like, you're right. Like, they just got off of a volume where the guy that they trusted betrayed them. So, and you don't know what Ironwood was, you don't know his state of mind. But, a lot of people have this argument where they were like, oh, Ironwood was honest from the get-go. He came in and he told them their plan. He told them the plan, and he was open arms, and he gave them new weapons, and he gave them all of this. He gave them this and that, and it's like, cool, great, sis. That's wonderful. But that just because you get some nice things doesn't necessarily mean that person isn't gonna turn their back on you. And again, eventually, yes, he does turn. Ironwood does just that. He proves that he couldn't handle the information. Now, I will say that part of that argument is a little bit unfair because it wasn't just that, Ruby told him the information and he lost his mind. But, Ruby told him, Oscar told him the information during the middle of a Grim attack, and fucking everything is coming in on him. And actually, when he was told the information, he was like, okay, let's compartmentalize. Let's deal with Mantle right now, and then I'll deal with this later. And then, when he finally loses his shit, he realizes, okay, Salem is literally like, she's down the street. Like, she's ready to attack. Like, let me just, So I part of me does agree that, like, okay, he couldn't handle the information, but part of me also feels like it's a little bit unfair to go and say, oh, well, they shouldn't have told him anyway because he just lost his shit. Well, no, he lost his shit because y'all spent months fucking training under him and y'all didn't tell him until it was a fucking grim attack and everything was falling apart. So, maybe if they would have told him a little bit earlier, he would have had some time to prepare. Because his whole thing was like, okay, we're gonna unite the world and we're gonna go and fight this, big monster girl. But it's like, okay, sis, you can't kill her. Like, throw all the missiles you wanted her. Throw all of the dust and whatever you wanted her. She's not gonna die. So I feel like eventually they would have had to tell him anyway, because it's like you can't throw your entire army at her because it's not gonna do anything. Like, it's not gonna phase her. So I feel like it was right and it was wrong. I can see how people thought it was, a bad decision, and I kind of agree with that. But I also see how it's like a good decision because, again, in Volume 5, they were literally just betrayed, and even in Volume 6, even though Osmond didn't do anything to them, the lying did feel like a bit of a betrayal. So I get both sides of it.
And it's supposed to be difficult. You're supposed to want to tell, yeah, Elwood is a good guy, I want to tell him the truth, but also saying, we have been betrayed before. So I think the fact that people are fighting over this is a good thing story-wise because you're supposed to root for Elwood too.
Yeah, yeah, and up until like episode 11, I really liked him. I really liked Ironwood. Like, I liked him
Yeah.
because it felt like, wow, this white man with all this military power and influence is like actually like using his power for good, and I actually like him. Like wow, and like I just felt like, wow, this is an adult that we can actually trust, that can actually like
Yeah.
put his shit to good use. And it just felt so soul crushing at the end where he was like, "You're under arrest." I'm like, "Oh dang, no, we have to kill you. Great, sorry." So I don't know. I feel like that was a really good point of writing and drama for Volume 7. I mean, so now on to something a little bit more light and fun. How do you feel about the new designs for Volume 7?
Thomas, Unicorn of War, when he made his Volume 7 video, he went through the outfits, and he's so smart.
He really is.
There are things that I didn't realize that he did, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. Like, for example, Blake's coat goes into like a flower, like a belladonna flower type of thing going on, and I was like, wow, amazing, pop off. Um, there's other stuff about Yang where it's like she's starting to show a little bit more skin where she can, which she hasn't for a while, and it's thought to be because like she lost her arm, so she wants to like cover everything up. But now, even though it's really cold, she's still gonna show like a little bit of eye action. She pulls her sleeves up when she's not fighting, or when she is fighting. I mean, um, and all that jazz. Phenomenal, phenomenal. I'll let you guys go on.
Yeah. What about you, Casey? What do you think about the new outfits?
I think everything was just said, but I like them. The first time they were shown at RTX, I was kind of, I didn't know what to think about it without seeing them animated, but I like them. And mostly, I think the first time we saw it, I was not angry, but I didn't like John's new outfit. But the more I see it, the more I like it, and the more I think he kind of looks like a badass.
Hmm. What about you, Aaron? What do you think about the new outfits?
I thought the ones for Ruby were pretty good since I've seen them. I was at RTX when they first unveiled the outfits to like the people who were there,
Mm.
and my main things with it were like hair on a few people. Like Weiss's is kind of out of control, like it's really big for a braid, and then Jean's was really silly at first before it was animated. After, not so much, like Casey said. But that was my main thing of the outfits.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, with the outfits, when I saw them on paper, actually, it's kind of the reverse for me. When I saw the outfits like at RTX, I wasn't at RTX, which I should. I don't know. I've never been to RTX, but it's weird for me because it's like other people fly from all over the world, but like Austin is literally like a 2 hour ride for me. I think it's like a 2 hour drive. I should really go to RTX one day, but whatever. No, when I saw them on, when I saw the RTX version of them, I was really excited. I thought everyone looked really good. Weiss looked like a bit much for me. Weiss like looked like she had too much going on. She had too many pockets. She had too many zippers. Like I don't know what she was doing with all that. But I liked her hair actually. I thought her hair was really
Nah, I
nice.
love those zippers.
I thought her hair was really nice. But when I saw it animated for the first time in a chapter 3 Aesop's, I was a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed because Ruby and Yang looked good. I liked them. But Blake and Weiss, we need to have a conversation because Weiss, her dress is too long. It's too long. It's too long.
I
It's like
agree.
it's too long and it's stiff. The animation on it is really stiff, and it's like I can't. I can't see her fighting in it. It's like it's too long and it looks too stiff for her. And then like on top of that, her hair it looks too stiff. It looks like I feel like she's like one of those action figures that RT sells, and I can just like shake the action figure up and down, and her hair isn't gonna move at all, and it just looks really stiff. And not to mention Blake. Like Blake's outfit looked fine in the animation, but like her hair was really it was ooh. It looked like it was wet, but like it was stiff at the same time, and it was kind of like flat, and it wasn't really like we were expecting the bisexual Bob, and we kind of got like wet cat shower Blake, and it wasn't great. It got better as the volume went on, but like that first episode was rough. What happened to Aaron?
Oh, sometimes his internet likes to die. He'll be back.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, Weiss and Blake. Ooh. Blake gets better as the volume goes on, and I'm sure in volume 8 her hair is gonna look fine. But Weiss, the dress is too long. I feel like what they should have done, they could have kept literally the same design, but instead of making her dress super long, just make it a combat skirt. Just
Yeah,
make it a
I think
combat skirt. like,
they could do the same thing like they did with Yang, where she would, in volume like 4, she would take off her like thing around her waist whenever she
mm,
fought. They could do something like that where it's like for show she walks around like that, and like Yang does the same thing. She pulls up her sleeves when she's about to fight. She could like mess with her dress a little bit to try and make it lighter, which I think would be nice because I noticed that too. I think that I don't like the big dress. I wish she kept with like something a little bit smaller, but like add something for the warm. It's just kind of odd.
yeah, it's kind of odd. Not really. I don't know. It's not really a combat ready. It doesn't really look good. You okay, Aaron? You kind of
Yeah,
buzzing it
my
out there.
internet crashed.
I see. Yeah, I'm kind of getting a little bit of a negative feedback sound coming from like you.
Oh, is it? Let me check.
Yeah, it's kind of sounds like zzz, like it's like I'm about to be electrocuted. But that's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. I guess. Oh, I forgot to talk about literally the biggest thing of the volume, Penny coming back. Well, how do y'all feel about Penny being alive?
Penny being alive, I think, was something that when she died, I think we kind of all seen coming because she was a robot. The one thing I didn't see coming was this is like one of my biggest problems with the volume. I latch on to like character development points, and that's because I like the characters more than I like the plot most of the time. So when Ruby kind of didn't really give that much of a shit about it, I was like, you know, you don't gotta be like this, Ruby. You can like act like you care. and that was one of my problems. I I mean, it was easy to then like kind of like keep on going. Let's keep on going with the plot. But like I was upset that Ruby didn't really seem to care, but she does care about Penny. We can see, which that's pretty good. Their character development after that, them interacting, is all phenomenal. I think.
What about you, Casey? How do you feel about Penny being alive?
I think it's about the same thing. Every episode of the volume, I wanted to have a conversation between Penny and Ruby about her dying trip, and we never had it. But on the other hand, in volume 1 to 3, I never really cared about Penny. I know, I'm sorry, don't come for me, but
We finna fight. We finna fight.
but in volume 7, I started really caring for. She's sweet. She's an angel, and you want everything good happening to her. And I think her interaction with Winter were the highlight of the volume.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true. I won't fight you, but we'll just disagree. What about you, Aaron? How do you feel about Penny being alive? You there?
Mm-hmm.
Badoo. Hey, the thing says you're talking, but I can't hear you.
Weird. I can hear him.
I I can't.
Blake, why don't you go out and come back in? There we go.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, everyone's silent. Like, okay, so I didn't hear you talking. So that'll just be like a moment of silence in the recording, I guess. But I guess I'll ask you to start over. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you for a bit.
It's cool. I always felt like Penny was going to come back. It's just that's the thing with androids and media. Like with Connor in Detroit Become Human, he always comes back, complete the mission and all that. And then it's more later in the volume, but like I'm happy to see Penny like get her whole reason she was created. The way they hint at it, her being like to save the world, I always figured she'd become a maven, which she later does. And then it's nice to see her interactions with Winter because of like the duality of who's more the machine and who's more the human.
Yeah, that is pretty great. That is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to sound real hypocritical because I just tried to fight Casey for disrespecting Penny, but when I first saw Penny in Volume 7, Chapter 1, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like that. I didn't like it. I was like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you alive? Like didn't you die? Like, I mean, I know I shouldn't be surprised because she's an android, she can come back. But the whole point of it being sad that she died was she was an android, but she had a soul and a heart, and she was unique. And if you destroy that, like it's gone forever. You may be able to rebuild her, but you can't give her the same soul and memories. So the fact that she was just back with the same soul and the same memories, I was like, well, damn, why the fuck did y'all make me cry in Volume 3? What was that for? Why did Pyrrha have to die thinking that she killed somebody when she really didn't? Like I just feels like it was all for nothing. It was like, and I'm like, okay, well, if you're gonna bring, Penny back, can I have Pyrrha back? Like, you know what I mean? Like, can we do that? So I don't know. I didn't like it at first, but as the volume went on, I realized she had a purpose to play plot wise for Ruby and for Winter, and in terms of being the maiden. And it does make sense that she was originally meant to be the maiden because it's like, okay, if you have someone who's a robot that is controllable, that means that you can essentially have a maiden that you can kind of control forever, which is kind of fucked up, but it's also kind of really smart. And I don't know. I didn't, but I'm also like, I'm not happy that she's the maiden because I'm like, okay, I was kind of wanting Winter to become the maiden. I felt like I was promised a Winter maiden, and we got Penny, which is fine. I mean, Penny's gonna do great things with it, but I'm just like, I really feel bad that Winter did not get that power, and I really wanted that for her. I really wanted that for her character. But I mean, I guess that's a good thing though, because now that Winter doesn't have the power, it means that Cinder's not going to kill her. So
Mm-hmm.
but I also think that now that Penny has the power, I think that whole machine thing, I think it's done with. I feel like I have this theory that the powers recognized her and they validated her and they made her real. So I feel like we're gonna get a moment in Volume 8 where Penny's like, "Hi, I have a heartbeat and I have lungs now and I'm a person."
It's like the Pinocchio thing,
That is her
where
illusion after all.
Yeah.
yeah, she's like on a surface level, she's not real, but she has more of a heart than Winter does.
Mm-hmm.
And they did like really think make you think that she was going to be, the Winter Maiden, like
That
because he
was,
said it.
yeah.
But
Ironwood did say.
Ironwood said it, but then it's like you when they put it out so blatantly like that, you're like, this isn't how this is going to happen. I was so surprised. Like, I mean, right when Penny went in there into the old woman's thing, her little hospital bed, I was like, is this happening? That this is gonna be it? And I was like so surprised by that. And I thought it was such a good idea, like diverting what you expect, because we all kind of expected that. And now it's like, what's Penny gonna do? Because is she gonna be a part? Is she gonna keep with Team RWBY, like not even for Mantle and Atlas, but afterwards? Like, are they gonna have a maiden with them the whole time? Is she gonna stick back after like all of the stuff gets resolved? Like, what's Penny gonna do? And I think that's gonna be really unique.
Yeah, I agree. That before, I think this theory was more popular during Volume 4, but the idea that Penny was going to be rebuilt and that she was going to replace Pyrrha and Team Juniper and she was going to join the cast and all that. I don't know. Again, because I was always of the belief that, Penny died and she should stay dead. That was the belief that I used to have. I never really subscribed to that, but now that she is kind of with the crew, kind of traveling with them, I feel like that's more of a possibility. But I also feel like it's a little bit unnecessary because, like, no shade to Pyrrha or to Penny, but we kind of already have a replacement for the P in Juniper, Oscar Pine. Like, he's already a part of the crew. Like, we don't need like a new person in like the group. I don't know. I just feel like Penny is one of those people that RWBY has outside of her like friend circle. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're all supposed to be friends, which is why it's a little weird that like Blake Weiss and Yang were like, "Oh wow, our friend is just back from the dead casually." Like, wow, what a surprise! Like, what a little coinky dink. Like, great, this is so pleasant. Like, they had no reaction whatsoever. Not even John. John gets up. This was the only season like since Volume 4 that John didn't get a moment to be sad about Pyrrha. But like, if they were gonna do one, Penny being alive should have been the moment where John was like, "Wow, my girlfriend or the girl that I liked thought that she killed someone for no fucking reason. Great, great, love that for her." Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like when all of this is done, Penny should stay in Atlas. Because I don't know, I just feel like when we get to Vacuo, we're already going to be expecting to be meeting so many characters like Coco and Velvet, Natsuhashi and Sun and Team Sun and all that. Like, it just feels like it's gonna be a really packed cast. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't want like no shade to Penny again. We don't need Penny and Vacuo with all. We don't need it.
Agreed. I've always hoped that they slim the cast down. Um, I know that they won't ever take away Team Juniper or Team Orange or whatever it's going to be called now, but Uh, Penny, I think Penny will end up staying there and be doing her do. Um, and then, dude, I really do want Team Juniper to kind of go so that we can focus. We don't have to keep on going back to Team Juniper and being like, what are they up to? So it
Yeah,
can be
Team
Ruby.
Juniper could honestly stay in Atlas, in my opinion. They could stay and rebuild, and maybe do whatever, and then Team Ruby goes to Vacuo by themselves, and then they interact with everyone in Vacuo, and then a lot of people think that it's gonna end in Veil or whatever. Let's pretend like it's gonna end in Veil for a second. Then Team Juniper could come back at the last season and do all of that stuff with them and whatever. I don't know. I just feel like Ruby needs a chance to be in the main plot all of the way. I feel like this was just another example of Team Ruby is stuck fighting like grunts or like lieutenants, and everyone else is fighting all the people that Team Ruby should be fighting. Like I love Crow, and I love I love Crow fighting Tyrion. Those tend to be the best fights. That tends to be when the show is at its best, when Crow is fighting Tyrion. But maybe have a main character fight, Tyrion, like maybe Blake or Ruby or whatever, like Cinder's great. Love Cinder fighting maidens. Love Cinder killing maidens. We love to see it. That's when Cinder gets to be powerful, when she's killing a maiden. But maybe have Weiss fight with her sister and Penny, and I don't know. Just
I
have
think
them
that
be
might
more
happen.
involved.
I think that might happen though, like the Winter versus Weiss situation. I think that might happen, especially unless like I have like this little theory that when Winter comes to Ironwood and is like, I lost it, like she might get raffle stomped by him because he's just so crazy right now, and like be like, oh my god, like I'm gonna like beat you up, and she's like, please don't. But I think if that can make her like be like Ironwood's crazy, I shouldn't listen to him, or she gets put down more into like the fascist like idea of like, well, I better listen to him even more now.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. I was more talking about like this them fighting together in general, but I think you're right. Maybe they will have to face off in volume 8, and I don't know. I feel like some people may be a little confused about this. I think that I'm right about this. I don't think Winter uses dust like at all. I don't think she uses dust. I think she does. I think she refuses to use dust because it's like, I don't want to use anything that has to do with my father. I don't want anything to do with the Schnee legacy. So I will just use my aura and swords. I won't use dust. Am I wrong? Does she use dust?
I
I'm
don't
not
remember
sure
offhand.
offhand.
I don't think.
I'm not sure offhand if she uses any dust glyphs, but
I don't remember her doing it. No, she uses her glyphs, but she doesn't use dust. I don't remember her ever doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a conscious choice of the writers. Or like, because like Winter is like, wow, our family is really fucked up. I want to change it, and I want us to go back to how our family used to be. And Winter
Mm-hmm.
is like, well, fuck the entire family. I'm only talking to Weiss. I'm only gonna interact with Weiss, and like everyone else, like fuck them. I want nothing to do with it. So I don't know, but I mean, speaking of like Weiss, like, what do y'all think about like the Schnee part of the volume?
I can
I
go first. Oh, go on.
I I don't know. It's kind of difficult because I liked it. I liked the way Weiss was the detective of the group. She was the one putting the two together, saying something fucked up was happening behind the scene. But I liked also the scene with her mom. The talk with her mom, seeing her mom drink, seeing the sadness between the two, seeing her mom having regrets. But I don't know. I think I wanted to see Royce slap Jack or something like this, and So I feel like it missed something. I liked it, but it's not as amazing as it could have been.
Okay, that's fair. What about you, James?
Uh, I think they're not done with the Shnees just yet because this is our still our first time meeting Willow, and I think that whole episode, like the it when we met Willow and like finally got to talk to her, I think it was so great, like us understanding like more about her life, Weiss's and Winter's life together, and like how Whitley's is kind of a shit kid because he has shit parents, and he could very well turn into how Weiss and Winter are right now, which would be fun to see. Um, I think Willow's very interesting because she doesn't when we talk to her, she doesn't seem bad, but the things that she says, like you need to, she like tells Weiss like, listen, you're gonna have to like get your brother out of here. She's like, I'm a shit person. Your dad's a shittier person. You're gonna have to do it, and it's like, okay, that's pretty terrible.
Like that's I have thoughts, but I'm gonna let Aaron go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of agree though, because like Willow is basically checked out. She doesn't really seem to have any want to improve her own situation, and is fine with just drinking it away. In the comics, we see that she's almost as shitty as Jock in the way that she treats Weiss a lot of the time. So, like, I understand that Whitley's a good person, and he can be, but I do hope that he does get time to like be rescued from the situation by Weiss or Winter or whatever. Since at the moment he's kind of just like a Jacques bootlicker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I when the volume came out, I made it no secret how I felt about the Shani situation, and I got a little backlash from people, because I feel like there was a little bit of confusion with my statements. Willow Schnee is a woman who has been emotionally, maybe even physically because of those cameras, abused and used and taken for granted, and she's, like this is her shit. Like this is her shit. This is her house. This is her legacy. And it's kind of all been kind of taken from her by this man who wanted to just abuse and corrupt it for himself. So I sympathize with her. I feel sorry for her. And if we were in a different context, like if this was like an adult show about adults living their lives, and like him and Crow and her and Crow were friends, and they were down to the bar and they were talking about her abusive situation, I would say, you know what, Crow, go cut off Jacques' head, go free this woman, because she's just like save her. She just needs to be saved. But in the context of Weiss, going to her mother and talking to her and all these interactions, I don't feel that way. I mean, definitely, I still think she's a victim. I think she's a victim of all the things I just said. But I'm viewing her through a mother lens. She's not doing her job. She's not.
Mm-hmm.
She's not on her shit. You know what I mean? Like, and it's so weird because again, I'm not gonna get into like personal shit because this is the internet. But I'm kind of in, and I'm kind of Whitley low key. Like I'm the youngest of three, two older sisters way older than me. Toxic relationships. Like, and it's like everyone is going after Jacques, and they should be going after Jacques because Jacques is abusive and Jacques is all of these things. But like Willow is abuse isn't always, I'm gonna hit you and I'm gonna slap you and I'm gonna manipulate you. Abuse isn't always that. Sometimes abuse is like neglect, CPS takes away people's children for abusing them, but they also take away people's children for neglecting them and, not being there for them emotionally, financially, physically. And I feel like that's kind of what Willow is in. She's kind of checked out. She's physically there, but she's not mentally there. She's physically in the house, but she's not at the dinner. She's not meeting Team RWBY. She's not being a mom. And I feel like that's a valid criticism of her character. And I feel like that's intentional. And I feel like a lot of people in trying to uphold Willow and trying to validate her as this abuse victim, which she is. I feel like they kind of erase her sins a little bit, and they're like, "Well, she's an abuse victim. She's been through some shit. Like leave her alone." Cool, great. I'm sorry for her, but it's like you're also a mom, and you're telling your like barely not a kid anymore daughter that she needs to rescue her brother from an abusive situation when like you're still alive and able-bodied, and like rescue your own damn son. Like, I'm sorry, like Weiss is like on one hand I'm like, okay, Weiss be a big sister, but on the other hand, you're a big sister. You're not his mom. Like, it's not your job to save him. I mean, I would appreciate it if you would save him. I would appreciate if you and Winter would, like, have a big sister meeting and maybe involve him in this relationship that you seem to have. But it's not Winter and Weiss's job to go and save Whitley. But I would appreciate it. But it's Willow's job. Like, if Willow can see these patterns, and if Willow can see that, hi, I'm in a fucked up situation. Like, your kid is fucking your kid is 13. Your kid is 13, and I feel like this is a very crucial time. This is crucial time of molding, and I feel like Jacques recognizes this. That's why Jacques always has him close, and that's why Jacques takes him to business meetings, and that's why Jacques takes him to parties, because he wants to make like a mini him. You know what I mean? And I think that if they can get to him now, while he's 13 and while he's like still clay to be molded, they can, get him on a better path. And a better path doesn't necessarily mean being a huntsman and going to combat school and learning assembly. Like, it doesn't have to be that, but it definitely needs to be not a racist. You know what I mean? Not someone who is a horrible, shady businessman that runs, black businesses out of business, ripped to Flint Cole's business. Like, it's just not a horrible person. He doesn't need to be a huntsman, but he does need to be not a shitty person. And I feel like Willow needs to kind of step it up a little bit as a mother. I kind of just dragged her for filth, but I'm gonna let y'all speak on that.
Yeah,
I feel that's very on point, because like it's probably intentional, because that's really obvious to read from it. And there's a lot of parallels to like other moms that people glorify as, like, oh, you can criticize them because they're abuse victims, but they're just as shitty to their other kids. It's like in Avatar with Azula and their mom, because she's like, oh, Zuko, like, you gotta be nice to your sister because she's a mini Ozai, but she does nothing to like try to be nice to her herself.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I don't know. Azula, I don't know. People make Whitley Azula. People make Whitley and Azula comparisons. But my thing with Whitley and Azula is like, I could see people not like. I mean, in my taste in women, Azula is my perfect goddess. Please step on me, Azula. But like in terms of other people comparing them, I feel like Whitley is a person who's kind of like not done anything to Wise. Like, yes, he inherited her inheritance, but like Whitley really had nothing to do with that. I mean, he may have enjoyed it. He probably did enjoy it, but like he didn't really do anything to her. Like Whitley, well, this is what people I don't understand. Whitley kind of has no control. You know what I mean? Like Whitley, he's not Jacques. He's not Weiss's abuser. He's not the person who is putting these expectations on her. He's not the person putting his hands on her. He's not the person, telling her what to do and controlling her life. That's not what Whitley's doing. Whitley is just kind of like, I'm here for the ride. If I do what I'm told, I'm not going to get hit. And, I live the good life, and I'm 13, so it's like, what do you know what I mean? And I feel like Whitley is a person who is getting all this shit secondhand from Jacques, because Azula, like, she tried to kill Zuko many a times. many, many, many times. Even while Zuko was still trying to kill Aang for the Fire Nation, Azula was still like, nah, I'm gonna kill Zuko. Like, let's kill Zuko. So I don't know. Azula, like, if Azula gets hate, I'm not mad at it because like she's trying to kill her brother. But like Willie doesn't do that. Willie doesn't try to like hurt Weiss or destroy Weiss or anything. He's just like an annoying little brother, and I feel like annoying little brothers are in literally every show ever. Like, how many shows have you seen where it's like the big sister and the annoying little brother? They're everywhere. Annoying little brothers are everywhere. It's just that this one is rich and snobby and a little racist. So
Mm-hmm.
And he was left alone with Jack and Willow. And since Willow has checked out and began drugs, the only person in his life giving him positive things is Jack. So of course the guy is going to try to follow in Jack's footsteps, even if it's bad. You know, Weiss he is going to become. Winter has fucked up from the family. So yeah, he's alone with Jack, and of course he's going to resemble him. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
He
yeah,
could
that
very well be saved from
Yeah.
them. He's kind of like Weiss in Volume One. I'd say it's just like
Yeah.
an ounce shittier. But Weiss completely has changed from who she was, and Whitley can definitely do the same thing. I feel like Whitley might is jealous. Like Whitley isn't like a dumb kid. He knows what's going on. He knows that both his sisters fucked off. He knows that his dad's a shithead, but his his dad is his shithead.
And his
Like,
son's there, so
hmm so he's like, I think he's jealous too. There's like a jealousy and like, you left me here, like you left me here, and like, yeah, I'm a little shit to you and I'm annoying, but like I do that because of how I was raised, and because I'm jealous that you all got to have a better life now.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Especially with like Whitley being younger, Volume One Wise. Volume One Wise, like, no shade to White stands. She was kind of a horrible person, and I hated her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was gross. Like, she was kind of gross, and like, she may have been right with the whole Ruby was a mature thing, but like, she still like really went behind Ruby's back and tried to get her fired from like being the leader of Team Ruby. You know what I mean? Like, she still kind of called like Sun, like she called him like a trash can. Like, she compared him to a whole trash can. Like, Weiss wasn't a great person, but like she's grown and changed, and now she's like the best girl ever. So I don't know. I don't feel like that has to be Whitley. Whitley doesn't have to be the best boy ever. I just feel like for him to be liked by the fandom at large, he needs to not be a horrible person, but like, again, he's 13. He's a child. Like, it's kind of like that situation a couple weeks ago on RWBY Twitter where like this person said something really stupid and people were dragging him, and I think Hero High got involved and like dragged him, but like they were 13. Like, leave them alone. Like people, 13-year-olds say stupid shit. Like, leave people alone. I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've properly dragged the Shinny family. The next thing I want to talk about is the Ace Ops. What did you guys feel about the Ace Ops?
They're great.
Love
Like,
them.
Yeah.
all of them individually, they're great, and then the story with them, I think, is great, because like, oh, look at how like strong these guys are. Oh my god, they're great, and it's like, yeah, and then they're like mindless drugs to Ironwood. Like, they're just like cops, you know. We're just following orders. Who said that too? You know, little history lesson not too long ago, World War II. Who said that too? So, that's it. And like, it's all like, I think the whole thing with RWBY and Aesop's is like so good, and it's like, people get mad about the Aesop's versus RWBY fight, but we've been told even before how they would win, because they Team RWBY loves each other, they protect each other, they care for each other, And not only that, now they're being trained by the best people, the best hunters and huntresses that they've ever met. So, on top of that, from what they've learned from their time together and now learned from Aesop, of course they were going to beat them.
That's tea. What do you feel about it, Casey?
About the same. I don't think I have anything to add to this. I like the ISOPs. I think, but it's a problem with RWBY in general. They needed a little more screen time, notably to see the friendship between the ASOPs and Team RWBY Juniper. But other than that, they're good characters and they was very fun. And I'm kind of excited to see what will happen with them in Volume 8. Know that Clover is dead.
Poor Clover. What about you, Aaron?
I pretty much agree with what's been said. It was cool to have like a pro huntsman team. They foreshadowed the reason they'd get beaten super early with the oh, we're not friends, we're just a team of like individuals, and a team of individuals will always lose against like a team. And it was nice seeing them. I like all of them in their own different ways. Harriet's my favorite because Speedy Boy.
Okay. This may not be a popular opinion, but that's not new with Maxwell Media Inc. So, I didn't like the Aesops. I really didn't. I really was just like, I mean, it's great that we have more people of color on the show, but like, I don't know. I just didn't like them because it just felt like they weren't huntsmen, and I knew they weren't huntsmen the moment I saw them. And what I mean when I say that they're not huntsmen is Atlas is a kingdom that values they don't value individual identity. They value like groupthink, and very much like a we are Atlas in general for the good of Atlas this and Atlas that, like, you know what I mean. So they're not, while as Ozpin's vision for what huntsmen are, because he created huntsmen. Ozpin's vision, what the other schools do, like their huntsmen are individuals. That's why that's why most huntsmen have individual weapons that are really unique and special, and then everyone has a special semblance. Then everyone has a special outfit, and everyone has a special fighting style, an individualized fighting style, and that feels and I guess Atlas people have that because you have Team Spunky there, but like in general, official Atlas huntsmen or whatever, they're just kind of all regular. They're just soldiers. Like when Clover was like, "Oh, we have elite military huntsmen clearing out the mines for us, so we can go," and they panned to the huntsmen clearing out. They were just like random guys in like the same military suit with like the same weapon clearing out, the Grim, and it's like, wow, those are professional Atlas huntsmen. Like, wow, really boring. And the Aesops, they all have the same. What are they? The Power Rangers? They all have the same outfit. Like, and it's just, I don't know, they're not huntsmen to me. They're kind of soldiers, and it's fine that they're soldiers. Everyone doesn't have to be like Crow. Everyone doesn't have to be unique and special. But I feel like they're kind of just kind of blah and meh. The only person that I really kind of enjoyed was Mero, because Mero was funny, and Mero had a cool semblance, and he had a cool weapon. But, like, Harriet, like, I mean, she looks nice. She's great, like, in Speed. I like her haircut, but, like, Harriet is kind of just... And I also like the fact that they're kind of based off the Fables. I do like that about them. But, like, Harriet is just kind of, like... I don't like her, and she's just kind of... I feel like they went with the Fables, and I felt like with some of the Aesops, they were just like, okay, this is their only personality trait. And Harriet's only personality trait is that everything is a competition. That's her only personality trait. And, I guess I guess if I had to pick a favorite besides Meryl, it would be Clover. And then Elma and Vine are kind of nothing characters. They're just kind of like, well, we're going to follow our orders. And I don't know. The Aesops are all kind of various shades of we're gonna follow orders, but it's like we're gonna follow orders happily or madly or calmly or we're gonna make following orders a competition. Like I don't know. I feel like the Aesops are very much characters that were created specifically for the task of Team Ruby beating them. And I'm not one of those people who thinks that like, oh, Team Ruby should have lost because they're inexperienced. I don't think that. But I definitely wasn't shocked when they beat the Aesops. I don't know. Like, how do you feel about them like losing? Like, do you think that Team Ruby should have lost?
No.
They
No.
kind of undermined it. The Aesops kind of undermined the Team Ruby from like the very beginning. So I don't know. Like this is gonna be like a really weird like example to it, but like I play a lot of Fallout New Vegas, and one of the biggest things is like this military thing called the NCR, and they're fighting against this thing called the Legion. All the time they're like, oh, the Legion don't know anything because they're barbaric and they're dumb and they're just like following orders and all this stuff. We're like an actual military. But then when you think that your enemy is less smart and lesser than you, you're gonna go in there and lose. So I think from the very start, from like when they first met them, they always thought they were lesser. So of course, because of that, Team Ruby outsmarted them in a lot of ways, specifically Yang. Yang, everyone calls her a brute, but honestly, deadass, she's so smart. Like, because a thing that a lot of people might not pick up on because it wasn't the center of the framing in the fight was like Blake's like twirling around and like getting Elm's attention, and Elm's like rooted into the ground. Yang starts to break the ground so that she can't use her semblance like as well, because now she just has pieces and she's not rooted in anything, and then that's how she beats her. That's such a smart thing. And then working together is unexpected because like with like the great like picture that everyone took of like the scene where Ruby sees that Weiss is about to get hit and she like runs in and she runs around and gets Marrow's little weapon away from her and just in the nick of time. They're not everyone in the fight, Team Aesops is fighting individually and like talking, but like there's so little times when they actually fight together like Team Ruby are. Even though like Weiss and Ruby are doing their own fights, they still come together to like give a hand to something, and Blake and Yang are just honestly, I think Blake and Yang can be anyone at this point.
True. I don't know. Like Blake and Yang, like I almost. I mean, was it Al? No, it was Miro. Miro was like, work with someone different. No, bitch, don't work with anyone different because they're fucking unstoppable when you work together. And with the Aesops fight, like Aesops were like they were kind of like they were sloppy. I'm gonna say it. They were sloppy.
Yeah.
They were letting their emotions get the best of them. They weren't fighting together. They didn't have any sort of like military code or style. Like normally military people, they're like they have like formations, or they have code names for different attacks. Like they had none of that, and Team Ruby had all of that. And like I don't think it was necessarily like, oh, we're not friends and the power of friendship. I just feel like it was like you were just fighting separately. You were doing all this extra stuff. And Harriet, she was just mad. She was just mad running at Ruby, and like I don't know. This is kind of a sidetrack thing, but I hate that they made the choice to make Ruby's weapon a scythe, but yet she never like uses it as a scythe unless she's fighting Grimm. Because I feel like she could end fights so easily if she would just cut someone in half. Like just cut Harriet in half. Like do it, please do it. I want a moment in Volume 8 where someone is like, oh, I bet you're not gonna cut my head off, and she does it. Because I just feel like, why would you give this woman a scythe if she's not gonna be able to cut anybody up? You know what I mean? Like, and Harriet had aura. She would have died. Just like in the fight, cut her open, and it would be done. But I don't know. I just feel like the Aesops lost because they're just not very. They're not a very good team. Like they kind of like I don't know. I made a joke about them being the Power Rangers, but they are kind of low key the Power Rangers because it's kind of like I don't know if any of you have ever seen an episode of Power Rangers, but like unless the Red Ranger is there, set telling everyone what to do, nobody really knows what to do, and they kind of lose when their leader isn't there. And like now that like Clover is dead and gone, like I don't really know what they're gonna do because Clover was the only one that kind of like was good at fighting with other people because he worked really good with Crow individually and with Robin, and he was able to fight by himself. I feel like Clover was the best of them, and now that Clover is gone, they're not gonna be much of a team.
I'm kind of afraid for Maro because I think Harriet is going to go after him because he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to hurt the kids, and I'm kind of afraid Harriet is going to reproach that to him in the future.
Yeah. I think the Aesops in general were just like showing what happens to the when it's like the militarization of the huntsman, and it's just not a good idea. Because the whole thing of Atlas is like the military and the academy are inherently together. So like anything that's goes through the academy is going to end up in the military. There's no like freelance huntsman in Atlas,
Nope.
and it just kind of shows like the lack of individuality and the uniformity of like how they're militarizing these people who are supposed to be like individual fighters.
Exactly. And I just think that I don't know, like I feel like if Atlas is gonna have a reform, I feel like it should be everything they should just separate everything. They should have the Huntsman and the Huntsman Academies be one thing, the military and the general be a separate like the general of the military and the headmaster of the Huntsman Academy, they shouldn't be the same person. They should be two separate people and they should lead two separate organizations, like because I don't know. I just think that it's kind of counterproductive, and they don't really do any. They don't really do much, and I don't know. I feel like they do have freelance huntsmen, but they're not as popular. And I feel like in my head canon is kind of like that the Atlas, whoever runs Atlas's news media or whatever, kind of villainizes anyone who isn't like a military huntsman, like Robin. I think Robin and her team were the only people who like weren't in the military, but like they were licensed huntsmen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to make this a little bit shorter than last time. So I kind of want to talk about Robin and her huntresses, and then we'll get into like the finale and everything before we wrap up.
All I have to say about them is all women are queens.
Betty. Casey, what do you feel about Robin? What are your thoughts on her little subplot?
I know it's a bit controversial because a lot of people don't like Robin, but I liked her. I like the fact that she was angry all the time. I like the fact that she wanted things to move. She wanted she wanted to fight for Mantle, and even when she fucked up, I think the story made it believable for me that yeah, sometimes she's going to let anger speak, like when they are in the ship with Robin, with Clover and Crow, and it's going to have consequence. And I'm very excited to see more of the happy interest in Volume 8 because we didn't see much from them in Volume 7, and I want to see more.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron? What do you think about Robin?
I liked her whole freedom fighter thing. I liked how she was trying to go through the system, like get elected to try and do change first, and then when that screwed her, just went to like full out rebellion mode. I think a lot of people don't like it because every election they project 2016 onto it, but it's not that clearly. And secondly, like she can have like her own set of things. Like people are like, oh, why is she a terrorist now? It's like, well, she got screwed by the system. Of course, she's going to result to what she knew better beforehand, and that sort of thing.
That's tea. I don't know. I feel like people. Ooh, I don't know. If I could have one wish for the Ruby fandom, I would wish that the Ruby fandom would get a big dictionary for everyone because people always like to throw on certain words and they don't really know the meaning of the words. Robin was not a terrorist. I don't. Robin was not a terrorist. Robin was not, causing all of this, causing all of this, mischief to, say fuck the kingdom. She was trying to get the fucking wall fixed so Grimm don't come in and eat everyone and their children. I don't know. But, like, I liked Robin. I liked her plot. The election plot was kind of dull. Wasn't really into it, but I did like that, they showed that she tried to do it the right way, but before she did it the quote unquote wrong way. But I feel like she was great. I feel like she's a great huntress. I love her. I wish that we would have gotten an element where Team Ruby follows the Aesops, but they also kind of follow the Happy Huntresses because people say that, oh, the Aesops are mirrors for Team Ruby. Well, kind of, but I feel like more of the Happy Huntresses are more of the mirror for Team Ruby because number one, they're an all-female team, and they're really outspoken and they're more of individuals than the Aesops. Like I said, I don't consider the Aesops huntsmen. I consider them soldiers. But whatever. I feel like they're gonna do great things in Volume 8. We love Sheep Girl. We love May Marigold. We love Joanna. We love all of them. We stand. Now let's talk about the finale. How do we feel about like the overall? And by finale, I mean like the last 4 episodes of Volume 7. How do we feel about that?
I think it was a great episode. It was amazing because for a lot of the volume was built up to this episode specifically. Episode 11, you have Ironwood, you have the fight with Watts, and then you have Ironwood. You have Salem coming in. You have Salem talking directly to Team Ruby, having a Yo Mama joke, and you have Ironwood completely changing its tone, panicking, wanting to arrest Team Ruby. Then you have the fight with Winter and Penny and Cinder. You have Neo versus Juniper. And I think it was amazing, and it ends kind of perfectly at the end of the volume because you want to see what's next.
Yeah, totally. What about you, James?
I think the last like 4 episodes of the volume was some of the most well written stuff that come out of it, even though there was some drama with some of the characters dying. Um, with Clover dying, I always seen it since he was good luck and he was paired up with someone with bad luck. It was always gonna like I knew right from the back that Clover was gonna die. Didn't want him to die. I really liked him. I really like Fair Game too. It's probably one of my top 5 ships. Um, but I can understand why people are upset and some of the stuff that RT said afterwards and what they said before is sus. But I don't think if you want change and want people to listen to you, I don't think you should attack them. And I think attacking Ruby or attacking Ruby for stuff like that is not gonna, because then you just kind of look like one of the antis that are like on them and attacking them for stuff like that. And honestly, this goes for any person, any media, anything like that. People aren't going to listen to you if you are attacking them, no matter what it is. So even if you're right. So if you want change to happen and if you want them to understand you better, you shouldn't attack people ever. And it's not going to work with Ruby. And I think I can believe them in that they said that, we didn't like I'm sure like a lot of people shipped Fair Game that work in Ruby, but I don't think they themselves see Fair Game in the way that they see Bumblebee or Renora. Like I don't think they meant for that to be like they have a crush on each other, they are a couple or anything like that. It just felt like that watching it, and it gave off those vibes. Some people didn't even see the vibes, but that's probably because they're straight. But yeah.
Yeah, again, I totally agree. I feel like we got into the Lucky Charms debate in the last shipping panel, but so if you want to see more of everyone's thoughts about that, you can go. I'll link that in the cards. And Unicorn Award made a great video breaking down the Lucky Charms debate. I'm also gonna link that. That's literally a masterpiece of work. Um, yeah, I don't know. With the Lucky Charms debate, I feel like again, just to sum that up, I don't think it was intentional. I do think it was an issue. I feel like everyone who was hurt about it was very valid. If you didn't see anything about it, you're also valid. You don't have to see things. But what I will say is, for a company that has been a little criticized for how they do certain things, the representation things, I don't know, because again, I remember walking into my little RWBY group and my little IRL RWBY group, and people being like, "Oh my God, they're making Crow gay," and it was the third episode, and I was like, "Why is he gay? What did he do? Did we get a kiss?" And they were like, "Oh no, like they had this one moment, and they're gonna make Crow gay now, and Carol's gay, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I mean, I love that. I'm down." So I don't know. I feel like if even like the straight side, like there was a little something there. There was a little something in the sauce. But again, I don't think Ruby did anything intentional. I don't think Ruby should be hung up or attacked. What I will say with the whole be nice to Kruby and stuff. Again, I agree. Be nice to Kruby. No one's gonna want to listen to you if you're attacking them. But this is what I will say. This is the caveat I'm going to put in there. At a certain point with certain people and certain issues, I feel like there is a point in time where you can't you can keep in mind how you're going to come off, but I feel like in certain situations I am less concerned with how the person is viewing me and more concerned with the moral issue on the matter. And I guess that's what I would say about Lucky Charms, unless anyone else had anything to say about Lucky Charms.
No, I think it was a deal.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. In terms of the end of the volume, I loved it. Great 4 episodes again. I feel like it was one of the best finales since volume 3. The little speech with Ozpin, I love when they do that. I love when they do the voiceovers with Ozpin and Sailor. I think that was great. Um, you know, a, a little bit before we wrap up about Ironwood. How do you feel about Ironwood's change? He went from like I'm trust and love to like I'm scared and I'm gonna shoot little kids. How do y'all feel about that?
I love his rise to power. I've been predicting it since volume 2.
Mm.
And then to see him like finally, I guess it's not like a finally achieved thing, like he's been going for it the whole time. But to see him finally turn into like the military junta overthrowing the government was just, for me, he's been seeing like, oh, that's gonna happen since volume 2. It was nice to see it be confirmed.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess for me, I loved it. I thought it was great. Here's what a lot of people don't understand. I'm gonna explain something real quick. A lot of people don't understand the fact that Ironwood being crazy and Ironwood like not being in the right, like cool, great. That was intentional. He was supposed to be a character that you rooted for and a character that you were invested in. And I feel like the fandom is kind of split towards the middle and people who kind of critique it from a right leaning sort of view, and some people who critique it from a more left leaning sort of view. And I feel like people on a certain side kind of have this mentality where if a character that I like or a character that I enjoy does something that's bad or that's something that I can't morally defend, then they're a bad character and they're fucked up and I can't support. But it's like, sis, that's writing. That's actually good writing. Like it's a story. You know what I mean? Like Ironwood was meant to be this guy. He was always supposed to be this guy, and he's kind of like Adam in the sense of people what was I gonna say? No, yeah, Adam was a guy who believed that he was the hero. He thought that he was the best guy for the job. He thought that in his own head, he was the savior for the Faunus, and they all should just worship him and adore him because he's just God's fucking gift. So, and I feel like Ironwood kind of has that mentality, but like obviously not as intense as Adam, because Adam like was outwardly really narcissistic. When Ironwood is kind of a little bit more subtle with his narcissism, he feels like he's the only one who can make the calls, the only one who can make the decisions, and any other opinions be damned.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was a great kind of fall of a person, and you could kind of see his descent into madness over the volume, and it was really great. It was really great writing. The end of the volume was perfect. I can't wait for volume 8. One of these panels is going to be like a volume 8 theme, like volume 8 predictions, so that should be fun. But I'm really trying to keep this like at an hour and 30, so I'm gonna kind of wrap it up now. But eventually, when we do the volume 8 panel, I guess we can get into like different things that we didn't get a chance to get into in this panel. But yeah, I want to thank everyone for being able to make it. I know we had to rearrange schedules a lot, and hopefully next time we can have Peter and Ali on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you for showing up and participating, and this was fun. I have an I have an outro. I'm sorry, I'm stupid today. Anyway, this has been Maxwell Media Inc. I'm your host, Maxwell, and may the power protect you. Bye.